Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. July 11th is World Population Day, a day set aside by the United Nations to celebrate the more than 7 billion people on the face of the earth. That figure rise at an exponential rate. It is also a reminder of the stark reality of the basic needs and deprivations of this critical global mass. These fundamentals remain food, shelter, and clothing. As the world marks this event, Nigeria's peculiar situation is the growing threat of food insecurity brought about by incessant attacks on mainly food-producing areas by marauding herdsmen. For more on this issue, we're now being joined by Wale Oyekoya, a farmer and chairman of the agriculture sector of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Welcome to the program, sir.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, today is World Population Day. There's no specific theme. What the United Nations Council has done is to adopt the theme of the 1994 International Conference on Population and Development, which focused on reproductive health and adolescent sexuality as basis for sustainable development. I mean, I was in Cairo in 1994 when we had that conference, but I don't think that objective has been realized with all these reports about rape and, unwanted pregnancies and all that. But you are a farmer primarily, so we'll focus to start with on food security. Now, food insecurity in Nigeria, how much of a threat is it? And is it conflict that necessarily determines the extent of food insecurity? Because of the belief that, if you have conflict, population will suffer, there won't be food, farming will be affected. But is it really conflict? Conflict, farmers, herdsmen, and all that, that is a big issue. Or things like climate change, urbanization, rural, urban migration, and all of that. Where will you put the real serious issue in relation to the survival of the population?
When you talk about food security, it's not only Nigeria that is affected, it's all over the world, just because of the increase in the populations in the whole world. You have to remember that it takes about 2,000 years for the population to increase to 1 billion. Now, in the last 100 years, they have taken that level to be reached to almost about 7.7 billion of people. The same thing with Nigeria. If you look at almost about 50 years ago, our population is less than 100 million. Now we are way over 200 million. So how prepared are we? Even apart from the climate change, which affects everywhere in the whole world, not only Nigeria, even America, Europe, everybody. But is our government really prepared for food storage? But the main important thing is that how are you able to prepare for the exponential of this population that is really exploding to our eyes, that we are increasing by 3% every year? So how prepared our government, how prepared are we as citizens to be able to take care of our nucleus family, not to even talk of the extended family? And that is why the United Nations really brought the idea of family farming. Family farming comes in that if you are able to feed your nucleus, your immediate family, you cannot eat everything. You can take the rest to the community, which is what they call flea market. That by the time you take the rest to the market, then the rest of the community will be able to feed themselves. So are we really prepared in Nigeria? I think my answer to that is that we have not been adequately prepared with all the challenges we are having. Is it the herdsmen with the farmers, the Boko Haram with the farmers, or the government insincerity in improving the agricultural sector?
You say insincerity. Is that a general assessment? I'd like you to assess the government's initiatives individually. Look at the CBN's Anchor Borrower Program. How successful has that been? This NERSL Microfinance Bank extending credit of 5%, single-digit interest rates. 5% is very low for MSMEs. What kind of an impact will that have in 774 branches all over the country? And obviously, the main one, the Ruga Settlements Initiative of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. It's been discussed a lot in the media from a social, cultural, and a political point of view. What is the agribusiness perspective on the Ruga issue?
I will start with the policy of the government. We have very robust policies, beautiful policies, coming out in the spread of the newspaper. But the citizen does not want to hear what is on the newspaper, what is coming to their table. Implementation has always been a problem. When our government say they're going to do this, are they really realistic? Is the policy really sustainable? Do we really have people's-oriented policy? Policy that is going to have impact on you, on me, and the unborn children? The answer has not been really answered, because when you talk of policies, look at the importation of food, and that is why we keep on talking about food security, food crisis. We've been talking about food crisis for the past 10 years. Okay, importation. Take importation, for example. 80% of what we eat in this country with our population of about 200 million are still imported. What is the government doing about it? We have so many porous borders. We have over thousands of porous borders that enter into Nigeria. Is that through the Chad, through the Benin Republic, through Cameroon? What are the government doing to really curb all these menaces? Look at what America just did to Mexico. They are all not Americans. They are spending billions of dollars in order for them to safeguard their territory. What is Nigeria doing? We are just allowing all kinds of people coming to the country from the Chad, from Benin Republic, and these are really having a conflict and problem to our country. We have not been able to feed our own people, and other people from other countries are coming to even tap into it. You're talking about the Ruga settlement. We are just playing games, and we already turned this into politics. There's Ruga already in everybody's backyard. When you talk of Kara, which is the usual place where most of these people sell the cow, where buyers and sellers go there. Everywhere you go in Nigeria is Kara, where they sell all these things. So that is more or less like a Ruga settlement. So what we should have done, or what the government should have done, is to really enlighten through communication to the stakeholders. It is well-known fact that the state owns the land. All what the federal government is to do is to engage the state governments. You cannot just force people into another settlement. I have my own business. Cattle rearing is a business. So if I could be able to buy land to do my own farming, I see no reason why the cattle rearer, the herdsmen cannot go to the market just the same way I go to the government to buy my own land. So there's a rural settlement everywhere. We just need, to me, I'm not going to say it's a total ban on it, because wherever there's some of this settlement, all what that should be done is for the state government to be in control, not the federal government. So if the state government could be in control, they will know the kind of people that will come and be selling things there, and value chain can be added. That is why we are getting it wrong. When you talk of ranching, it's more or less like a ranching, not like colonization, the way the government have taken it, that really sell it to the people. There could be value chains where you rear this cattle, you can have a modern abattoir in it. From there, most of the remnant there, the farmer can use it, and you can be getting dairy from it. A lot of employment will be created. A lot of revenue will be generated. But it's just the way the government have really treated to the people that Ruga settlement, and with the hostile environment the herdsmen have been giving to people, people are very scared. Extremely scared that, oh, another Fulani territory coming to our place, not in my backyard. If everybody is going to say, not in my backyard, whose backyard is going to be?
Now, let me move this on to the serious statistics that we have when it comes to food shortage in Nigeria as it stands. 2.3 million people do not have access to food, and this is based on the crisis with Boko Haram. The FOA put out a report that since 2016, over 13 million Nigerians do not have access to food. This is a serious problem that we are looking at, but it raises the question about forecasting. Surely there has to be some way to see ahead. And it seems as though it's only in Nigeria that we never see ahead. Why is there no forecast to show us where we are headed to, so that the government can plan in advance and avoid situations such as this? Because the fact that we're in the tens of millions, in double figures in terms of people that don't even have access to food based on insecurity, based on climate change issues such as desertification, is a huge issue. When are we going to start forecasting and planning towards that?
I blame all those things on the doorstep of the media. Media is a very powerful tool to get information out. In the olden days, we used to have what we call investigative journalism. If you look at what is happening nowadays, we don't have it. Look at what just happened recently with the social media about the senator that slapped somebody in Abuja, and what happened with Koza. Through the social media, you see what changes we have. That is a powerful tool of the media. Yes, government are there to bring us right information, but they will not do it if the citizens are not challenging them. They are doing whatever they are doing because we allow them to do whatever they are doing. See what happened with the president of the Nigeria now, Buhari. Everybody was complaining that why is he not releasing the list of the ministers? See what happened. He's going to release it, or it's already released to the Senate. So we citizens were the main problem of ourselves. Because we just sit down, we expect the government to do everything, and they will not do it. They're all politicians. They don't have any other business than to go there and make the money they wanted to make. So it's there for all the citizens to challenge that what is really going on. Yes, with what is happening in the Northeast. To me, I was there, I was in the Bama settlement in Borno then. In fact, what they show you on the TV is nothing compared to what you see by yourself. The government are not really proactive. They just wait for the crisis to happen. The same thing with all these herdsmen. Had it been that the way we've been talking about this for the past 10 years, if the federal government have really sit down and take note, it wouldn't have got to the level that we have ourselves today, because no state is secured in the country right now. Even right in the state of our president, where one of their council leaders was kidnapped. So there's a kidnapping everywhere, there's killing, there's everything over there. So with the population, you just said that they are being displayed in, like in Taraba, Benue, and other Northeast. It's something that is not expected to have been done. But because the government are not really with their up to what they're supposed to do, that is why it keep on happening.
Well, let's stretch this a little bit further. I mean, you've talked about, you asked a question, what is government doing? Now you switched it again and said, what are the people doing? You know, that the people have to do investigative journalism and all of that, but the media can only do, so much. I mean, it's the responsibility of government primarily to ensure the security and welfare of the people. And previously in this country, we have had all kinds of initiatives. We have Operation Feed the Nation under General Obasanjo, as it then was. Tundun referred earlier on to Anchor's Borrowers Program that the CBN under Emefiele has introduced. We've heard about Green Revolution, under Shehu Shagari. Yes, but food security is one aspect of the population challenge. It is said that by 2020, India will become more populous than China. By 2063, Nigeria will have over 700 million people, 770 million people who will probably be standing on each other's heads on the streets of Lagos. Now, beyond food security, what other specific public options do you think that government can recommend? For example, family planning. Do you support family planning as a means of population control? And do you think it will work or succeed in Nigeria? Because 770 million Nigerians.
It's very scary.
Or do you recommend infrastructure development, other kinds of options, so that even if we become 1 billion Nigerians, we will still survive?
Well, I believe family farming should be something that we should be thinking about. It happens in China, where they have a law that if you have more than one child, they will kill it or you'll be fined. And it really works. Because when in China, with a population of almost about 2 billion, they're able to control it to a certain level. I believe Nigeria can do the same thing, but it has to be through social programming. Not like the one we have now, where they are deceiving people that food to the children, or whatever they do in the schools now.
School feeding program.
Yeah, school feeding program that is not even really healthy, what they are giving to the students. We should be very sincere. When I talk about sincere, I know what I'm talking about, that most of our government leaders, officials are not really sincere. They just bring out a program, and some people are right there to corner some
We'll
of this.
We'll take a short break now, and then you'll continue when we come back. Stay tuned. Come back to the morning show here on Arise News channel. Still with us in the studio is Wale Oyekoya, chairman of the agriculture sector of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and a farmer. Now, before we went on that commercial break, you were talking about policy options for population control. And you were just commenting on family planning and the example of China.
Definitely. As I said, family farming which always come with the family farming. Family planning, family farming, they all go hand in hand.
When you say family farming,
Yes.
are you referring to subsistence farming?
Not really.
Or they are two
subsistence
different
farming.
concepts?
It's two different concepts.
Okay.
If you look at family farming that they practice in India and China, it's totally different from what we practice here.
Okay.
In the sense that in Nigeria, we practice subsistence farming for the peasants. But if you look at India, they have some of these modern tools, maybe just to till the ground, to plant, to harvest, to do this, to apply insecticide or pesticide, which is what we don't have here. And I've been of the opinion from the day one that mechanization is the way out for us in this country with our populations. We are not under 30 million, we are not under 10 million like other neighboring countries. With population of 200 million, come on. We're supposed to have mechanized farming in all the states, if possible in all the geopolitical zones. But if you look around now, foreigners, I mean multinationals, companies from foreign countries have taken over of our agri sectors. And to me, that's a big threat in the sense that they were giving all kinds of opportunities that the local farmers are not really advised to. Maybe like the Olam that just got to Nigeria now, the federal government opened the place and they give them a waiver to import some of this maize, soya that we, the indigenous or the local farmers, are buying in a very exorbitant prices. So there's no way the local farmers will be able to compete with some of these multinationals agro processors. Don't get me wrong, we need foreign investors in the country, but at the same time, there should be a check and balances. If there's no check and balances, every 6 months, these people, they remit their money in dollars back to their country. Had it been that it's an indigent that are having some of these multinationals, that some of these people that steal our money and take them outside the country, we wouldn't be having all this problem. And by them importing some of these things, it's really affecting our foreign reserves. That is why our Naira does not really have the value it used to have in the 60s and the 70s, because we allow so many things to take away the dollars that we're supposed to use for the manufacturing equipment. We need manufacturing equipment, not finished goods that we have in the country today. So with the population to be controlled, we still come back to it. Unless the government do something that is very, very radical now, 2050 is right at the corner. It's about 30 years to come. You can imagine with the population of Nigeria to be more than what the US have. US have about almost 330 million. They are able to feed their own people. And we have about 200 million. We are not even able to feed half of our population. So the government really to be very careful and be proactive. If not, there will be a lot of poverty in the land. And people will be going to the dustbin, God forbid, to scramble for food to eat.
So back to the cycle of life that we were discussing during the break. How well is the agribusiness model being sold to the youth population as a crucial, viable, fulfilling career path? Because some of the opinion that as the current crop, pardon the pun, of farmers ages and eventually shuffles off the mortal coil, there's a gap. Who is going to replace them? Because the youth are interested in other pursuits.
Well, the government have not really been doing well, because one thing with me, I will not come to the national news and lie that the government are doing this or doing that when they have not been doing it. The moment we are saying that, maybe the government is saying, what are we doing wrong? Because the youth need to be involved, we like it or not. They need to replace the age farmer that we have around. Because, and without the modern tool that we keep on talking about, no youth is interested to come into agriculture. You cannot just give most of these kids that we have today that are more or less social media people to give them cutlass and hoe and expect them to go and do farming. No, we need to introduce technology into the farming, maybe through the marketing, through the exporting, and through production. Everywhere you go now is through technology that introduced to the farming. But are we really doing that in Nigeria? No. The only thing we copy is it's just like we copy and paste, and it doesn't last. So we need to do our own research and development, and that is one thing that's really lacking now. In the olden days, during the Awolowo and the Zik, we used to do research and development for us to grow our own crops like the oil palm, cocoa, rubber in the olden days. We did the research, and that's why other countries were able to come and borrow the research from the technology from us. But now the reverse is the case. Look at like Indonesia and Malaysia that came to Nigeria and take our seat. Now we are getting advice from them that how they were able to do it to become the largest producer and exporter of some of this oil palm and oil derivatives. So the government really need to get to it and listen. We are losing it. And we are losing it in the sense that we leave everything to the old people. You are talking about Anchor Bora or this NASA. If all this money in trillions of now, when I calculated it one time that the money for the past 15 years that the government have been saying they are using it to help farmers or like intervention funds, we are talking about trillions. If we have really sincere put all this money on the ground for farmers, Nigeria wouldn't have been where we are today. So it's like half of the money got wasted, or they know how to get this money out to the other countries in order for them to really keep this money outside. And they keep on telling us that, oh, we are doing this, we are doing that to farmers. But real farmers are not really benefiting.
See, understandably, I see you focused a lot on farming, on food production, on agriculture, you know, as a way of managing population. But I'm sure you must have heard of a guy called Thomas Malthus, author of The Demographer and Economist, who wrote The Principle of Population. Now, Malthus' main argument is that, you know, population, human population, will continue to increase geometrically. He has been, you know, his position has been fulfilled in the light of what you said in your opening statements. But that food production can only be arithmetical in terms of growth. And that what you are likely to have is that food production is not likely to help population growth. Instead, people will eat more, they will procreate more, and you know the population problem remains. So by feeding the people, you don't solve the original problem. It's called the Malthus trap. Now, and that was why I asked you earlier on about what else can be done beyond food, family farming, agriculture, and the initiatives you've been analyzing since.
Definitely, we talk about family control and how you can control, how bad control. We already stated that. I might not have gone that far because I believe we are able to take care of your family. Definitely, hunger is going to be reduced and poverty. Yeah, we need to really reduce the way we are giving births, where some people have 10 wives, 5 wives, and they cannot take care of the kids. So what is the social...
But if they can take care of the children, it's fine to have 10 wives.
I'm not saying it's fine, but at the same time, there are certain conditions that is totally beyond you. You cannot tell a man that has 3 wives that should go and kill 2 wives or should get rid of 2 wives. He will not listen to you. Or some of these Muslims that believe that we're entitled to have more than 3 or 4 wives. You understand? Polygamous run in the veins of most of the Africans. Let me put it that way. So we are not like the European countries or American that they believe in one man, one wife. It's a culture that we have. I might say it's a culture that we're supposed to have really do away with or to be able to control. But by and large, education really matters. If you want to tell somebody that, listen, you've been having 3 kids, let's reduce it to 1, or how are you going to take care of this kid when you keep on having them? That is where the social amenities really comes in. Just like what you said, I'm not saying it should be about feeding. Yeah, if you are feeding. If when you have food, then you'll be able to have more sex and be able to produce more. There's not that about it. But the government have a lot to do in order to be able to control the populations, because it's very scary. Almost about 500 million in 2050 for the population of Nigeria. Extremely scary.
So what do you think, aside from food insecurity, are the really major issues that we should worry about in terms of Nigeria's rapid population growth rate? If, per se, we will get to 450 million by 2050, what should be, let's say, the top 3 primary concerns of the average Nigerian citizen today, aside from food insecurity?
Apart from the feeding, education is very important. Because if you are able to educate young people that the effect and the consequence of having too many kids, which is really affecting the growth. That's number 1. Then number 2, we really need to take into cognizance of what is really the reason why people are having too many kids. Is it because they are comfortable, Or is it because there's no law that really regulates like China that you cannot have more than one kid? Then, after that, are we really educating some of these kids that we are even having? You can see what is happening mostly in the north with all this almanjiri. We have all this almanjiri because they are not getting the right educations. And there's no one that is really educating them that, listen, you cannot just be having all these kids with nothing to show for it. And that is why I say during the Goodluck Jonathan's regime that's building all these schools. What happened to all the schools today? All these kids, they don't want to go to school. It's just like wasting of these resources of the government. Because their people are not even ready for them to go to school. They prefer marry them early to all these allergies or to all these old men, as long as the man can take care of them. And that is why if you go to the north, everybody sit down in a circle, eating together. They don't think about the future. The only future they know is now, what they are eating. And we should be able to think beyond what we are just eating today. What is it really doing to the infrastructure that we have on the ground? Because it's just like you have a tenant that have about 5 kids or that have 5 families. You cannot expect the usage of that facilities to someone that just have 1 or 2. That is why you see some landlords, they want you to, if you want to rent a place today, they ask you how many people in your family. If you are more than 3, they say they don't want you because it's going to affect the infrastructures or the amenities in the building. So the same thing with population. It's going to be affecting either the housing, the road, the security, because when you have people on the street, it's very scary. People have no jobs. They have not been able to eat. What happened? They become rowdy. And that is why the politicians are taking advantage of using these people because they are not educated, they are hungry, they don't have no job. So there are so many things that, to me, it still boils down to the government to be able to control the population.
I think you are very correct. Well, we don't have much more time again to continue with this conversation. There's a question I will have asked you. You know, Nigeria has an anti-same-sex marriage law. Wow. And there are some people who are saying that as part of human evolution, same-sex marriages can help to control population. But that's controversial. We can't go into it. That's controversial. We can't go into it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.